Alright, so this is another scary story. Um, okay. Come here. Let me go take off my contacts. These are hurting. So I took off my contacts. They were bothering me. I'm not really. This was the first time me wearing them, so I think it was over an hour, so I just gotta get used to them. But yeah. So back to my story. So the scary story number 3. So what had happened was, this one took place in Riverside, and this was around 2016 or something like that. I don't remember, but I remember. Yeah, it had to be because that's when I got my Hercules, my doggy, for Christmas as a gift. That weekend I had taken. It was like a Christmas weekend. Either it had to be like a couple days before or a couple days after, but it had to be after because I already had Hercules at that time. I went to go visit my father in Mexico um, for the weekend, and my husband actually just dropped me off, and he went back because he had to work because it was holiday weekend, and his job demands him to be there because he's like he was working. Excuse me, he was working for roadside service, so he was needed, which was fine. We didn't mind. And I remember he dropped me off on Friday, and was gonna pick me up back Sunday. So he dropped me off. I spent the weekend with my dad. That Saturday, my husband called me and said he went to a psychic. He just wanted to see how it was, and there was like he saw a sign, and he stopped by, and he was really intrigued. He wanted to check it out because we used to go to the psychic in Irvine. Her name's Nina, and she was awesome, and we loved her, and she was very accurate, but she was really far away. So he found a new psychic, and it was in Riverside. I don't want to say exactly where because long story, but so so he's like, oh yeah, it was really weird. At first, she was really nice and everything, but when I wanted to leave, because I guess she gave him a generic answer to stuff, and when they somehow I came up and she's like, well, if you want your wife to be protected, buy me Victoria's Secret perfumes and gift cards. And he's like, what? No, like I'm good. I just wanted a regular reading. I don't want any weird special shit like that. And then she's like, call me Monday. And he's like, okay, whatever. And he pieced out. Then he calls me that Saturday and he's like, guess what just happened to me? The second said this and this. That was so weird. Like, I feel weird. And it's just, I can't tell you the whole story. I can't tell you all the details because I don't remember. This happened so long ago about what the psychic told him. But I guess someone had done witchcraft on me when I was younger, and that if I wanted cleansing or stuff like that, that I should get it. I don't know. I wasn't even in the room with the psychic lady, but somehow I came up into her little reading, and so she was offering him a protection spell or something for me to be protected. So he picked me up Sunday, and I'm like, that's weird. I got home and I had my puppy, and I just remember being normal, but I just remember me and him were really creeped out. And like I said from my previous stories, um, and by the way, we weren't living in that haunted house anymore. Um, my dad wasn't living in the haunted house anymore. Um, so I just remember I just remember he picked me up and he was creeped out. So by the time we got home, we were telling my mother-in-law what this psychic crazy lady said, and she was creeped out, and we were all creeped out. And my husband's like, "Nope, that's it. I'm gonna white sage the house." Yeah, so we were living, like I said, we were living with my mother-in-law at that time, and we white saged the house. He white saged the house so much that it looked, it was just the whole house looked like it was smoked out, like it was a thick layer of white smoke all around the house. Like, it looked like it was on fire or something. It was just, I remember a company came by and they're like, dang, it looked like the house was on fire. Like, there's smoke, literally, you can't even see inside your house. And I'm like, oh, sorry, it's my husband doing, like, white sage. And just for protection, because Alex is very suspicious and superstitious and spiritual, so he's like, no, we're not going to take a chance. Okay, so we go to bed that night. My husband had to work the next day, which was Monday morning, the same day he was supposed to give her a call. And I remember waking up early too. He had to be at work by 6, so I know he left. He got up really early, and he left around 5 o'clock. And I remember I woke up around the same time because my doggy needed to go potty. So I took him out to go potty, but right when I opened the door for him to go potty, because it was still dark. It was 5ish in the morning. The sun wasn't out yet, so it looked dark. It was really dark. So I was around 5 o'clock in the morning. It was really dark, and I remember opening the door, and I'm like I said, I'm blind as fuck. Like I'm wearing glasses right now because one of my eyes is like negative 375, and the other one's like negative 275. So I'm blind. That's so bad. So I wasn't wearing my glasses, and I just remember opening the door, and on the porch we had a long porch, and there's like 4 or 5 steps going down. Like there's a big porch, but if you wanted to go like in the driveway or whatever, you had to go down the stairs or use the ramp. So on the right side, it's like a long path to get to the ramp, and at the end of the porch, which is the end of the ramp, my dog we got out, and he went right straight to the end of the ramp, and he stopped, and he was smelling something on the floor, and I thought it was a rag because I'm blind, I couldn't see it, and I'm like, oh, I wonder what it is. Like it could have been anything. I thought it was just a rag, and I'm walking up to it, and I didn't realize what it was until I actually walked up to it. It was a dead bird. I think it was either a crow or a raven, but it was a big dead bird. It was like the size of him. Like it was a huge fucking bird, and it was black. And I love animals. I didn't have the scared feeling or anything like that. I was just like sad. I'm like, oh my god, what happened to it? Like, is it alive? Is it dead? It was definitely fucking dead. But like, I just wanted to make sure. So there was like a little hand shovel next to it, or next to the pot that was there, because my mother-in-law loves to like garden and stuff, and she had that shit all over the place. But I remember grabbing it and like moving it, because I know you're not supposed to touch birds because they can have diseases and stuff. And it was so limb. It was you know how like when it's barely dead, it's still soft and like, but if it's dead for a while, it's stiff, and you could tell it's dead. And I just remember noticing that it was just barely dead, and I'm like, oh, that's so sad. And I don't know why I instantly thought about the psychic. I'm like, that bitch probably sent this like fucking evil crow for me or something, because out of everybody, I was the first one to see it. And I don't know if it was like a sign to scare me, or I don't know what the point was, but I feel like it could be a coincidence, or it could be the fact that my husband white saged the whole house, and then now we have a dead black bird at the end of the porch the next morning. It's like, and at the odds of anybody else finding it, it was me who found it. I'm like, this is just too coincidental, like it doesn't, I don't know. But yeah, I remember like putting it away, like throwing it in the trash before anybody else saw it, because I didn't want people to freak out. Like everybody was already freaked out because of this psychic being weird and shit. And my husband decided never to call her. He's like, nope, I'm not calling her. What happened was, like, right when that happened, I remember calling him like, hey Alex, something just happened. And he's like, what happened? And I'm like, there's a dead crow at the end of the porch. He's like, what the fuck? He's like, it must have been the white sage. It killed it. I knew there was something bad happening. He's like, and that everybody, the lady wanted me to buy her stuff. I knew she was going to do something bad. Like, he already knew, he had a feeling that the lady had some sort of, like, bad omen or something, And, I think if you accept things, like, oh, that's gonna, like, if someone's trying to do something bad to you and you're, like, believing it and, like, accepting it like a gift, someone gives you a gift, if you take it, it's yours. If you don't, it's theirs. So I didn't take it, like, I didn't accept it. I just saw it as a poor dead bird. I didn't see it as a, like a bad omen, but it could have been. But I wasn't scared. What really tripped me out is the fact that she knew who my husband was. She knew who I was, and it's like, that's the creepy part of it. Like, so I had told him that, and I was trying to explain to him. He was like, yeah, she told me this. Every time I wanted to talk to him about the psychic, my phone would turn off. And I'm like, what the fuck? And so then I called my mother-in-law. I'm like, hey, Maria, like, she wasn't home. I don't think she was home. She was on her way home from her job. She traveled for work. And I remember she was on her way back anyway. And this was like around 7 o'clock in the morning. And I tried calling her. I'm like, hey, like, just be careful in the trash. There's a dead crow. And I was trying to explain to her why there was a dead crow in her trash. And the phone would cut off. Every time I started mentioning the psychic, it would fucking cut off. And I'm like, this is fucking creepy. So then I call my dad. And I would tell him, oh, look, Dad, how are you doing? Like, so now he's like, how are you? He's like, how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. So something just happened. So I would tell him, I would talk to him, or whoever I would talk to. I would only get as far as to almost explaining what happened to me that morning. I could never talk about the psychic. I could never really talk about the crow. It was just until people were in front of me, I could tell them the story. But it was really creepy that I couldn't fucking communicate to people, and I was by myself at home. And that's the reason I got Hercules, a puppy. Why they gave me, my husband gave me Hercules for protection, because I was alone at home most of the time, in a big, huge property house. So I was like, wanted some protection, you know, because I didn't want to be alone. And it's just weird that how everything happened. And so that was that year. We were just happy that, you know, whenever we went to that psychic, we got through whatever I had to do with that bird. If it was supposed to do something bad to me, and nothing happened to it, because we white stayed to the house and I was protected. So that's how we saw things. And we moved out within a year. So it's just really weird, because I don't know how to explain this. We moved out in like November. We were living, I just remember we moved out. And it's just fucking creepy. A year, because that's not where the story ends. A year later, I was already living in my own place, where the hoe next door, I was living with the hoe next door, and we were living literally across the street from my mother-in-law. Like, I could literally cross the street, make a little left turn or something, and down the block, that's where my mother-in-law was. So she was super close by. So that's why we decided to move close by. And I remember wanting to decorate for Christmas, because it was around Christmas time. It was like 2 weeks of December already in, and I hadn't decorated anything. It was my first time being alone in my own place. So I was like, yeah, let me decorate. And I had called my husband, like, hey, I'm going to go to Dollar Store, and I'm going to get some trinkets and stuff so I can, like, decorate the house. Like, oh, cool, yeah, just be safe, because I won't be home for a while. And it was, like, around 5:30, 6 o'clock. Like, maybe an hour before the Dollar Store closed. And I was dressed all cute and, you know, like, I was all dressed bougie and shit for the Dollar Store. I don't know fucking why. And I remember driving up to the parking, and I had this Victoria's Secret body spray. And I'm telling you, it's so weird how your body and your mind communicates with you, and like the sixth sense, or the intuition that your body tells you to do stuff and not to do stuff. I have the You So Sexy from Victoria's Secret, and I had the body spray, and I was spraying it. And I was spraying, and I remember thinking like, oh, don't do too much. Just don't do it. And I'm like, that's fucking weird. Like, I had that little voice in my head, and I'm like, that's weird. I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm being crazy, you know, like, whatever. So I just started spraying everywhere, blah, blah, blah. And I get into the store, and I'm, like, looking at these, like, you know, the things that you hang on the walls and around the trees. I forget what it's called. The stencil or whatever. And I'm looking at it, and the Dollar Tree there was really small, so, like, the walls were, like, really compact. Like, only one person could really be in the aisle at once. And I remember looking at stuff, and, like, I saw this pregnant lady next to me, and she was passing by, and I'm like, oh, and I moved, I'm like, oops, sorry, you know, like, she's like, it's okay, and she passed by, and she's like, she touches my shoulder, and she's like, I love your aura, I love your aura, your energy, it's so bright, and alluring, and it's so good, and it's, I don't know, just remember saying that my energy is, like, very beautiful, and like bright and attracting, and like all these like things, and I'm like, well, thank you, like thank you. She's like, yeah, like she's like, yeah, no problem. And I'm like, oh, I just got complimented about my aura, my vibe's good, you know. So, uh, I'm okay. So I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, that's so sweet, you know, like that's nice, like good compliment. I'm like, maybe it's because I'm wearing all orange, yellow. I think I was wearing this bright color, like no, it was a pastel pink, like all these bright pinks that I like. I don't know. I was just like, I wonder what it was like that, like caught her eye, you know. And and like after she said that, she was with her husband. She kind of made a little turn, but she didn't stop looking at me, even though she was still staring at me. I pretended like I didn't know. And I'm just like looking at myself. She's like, "Excuse me, what perfume are you wearing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's Victoria's Secret." When she asked me what perfume I was wearing, I instantly thought about the psychic. And right when I said Victoria's Secret, she's like, "Oh, that smells so good." And I'm like, "Thank you." She's like, "Anyways, I just really wanted to tell you, like, I really like your aura, but I'm a psychic. I really wanted to. If you ever need a reading or anything, I work here in Riverside. I'm the only licensed one to do this." And I'm like, "Fucking shit." I'm like, "Are you the one across McDonald's?" And she's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's." I'm like, "Oh, I think my husband went to you." She's like, "What's his name?" And I'm like, "Alex." She's like, "I don't remember him, but here, take my number." And I took her number down, and I'm like, "Is this the same fucking psychic?" This bitch found me. I'm just saying, the bitch found me. Like, she was nice and everything, but I just remember. I'm not gonna lie. It was not. I don't remember. I don't remember the interaction with her clearly, but I remember her talking about my aura, and then I remember her talking about being the only licensed psychic, and I was like freaking out because I'm like, oh, please don't be her, please don't be her. And then I'm like, are you the one next to McDonald's, like across McDonald's? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's creepy, you know? And I don't know. I just was very defensive right after that. I'm like, oh god, oh god, oh god. And I'm like, really? I'm not fucking lying. I swear, it was literally a year to the day from the moment that my husband went to go see her to the moment that she found me in a dollar store. It was a year exactly. So the day that Saturday he went to go get the psychic reading to the next year, on that same day I saw her at the dollar store. And like, to me that's fucking creepy as fuck, because what are the chances? What are the chances? Like, what are the fucking chances? Like, for like, if it wasn't for my perfume, if it wasn't for me like being there at that time, or just somehow attracting her, catching her eye with my aura, like that shit was weird. Like, I don't know, that wasn't a crazy scary story, but it was scary because in that time I was freaked out. Like, this lady knew, now she knows what I look like. Not like, I had taken her number down, but I'm like, this is crazy. I'm never calling her. Like, this is fucking crazy, batshit crazy false. Like, I was just, that was creepy as fuck. And then I told my husband, we're never, ever going to psychics again. Like, we don't know what they're capable of. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying you don't know who's good and who's bad, and I'd rather not know. You know, like, you know, you can see the psychic twins on TV. I'm pretty sure they're good quality, like good peoples and stuff. And I'm not saying they're all bad. I'm just saying I had a bad experience, and I'm not risking having another bad experience. And I hope I don't get hexed for telling this story. But I'm good because Jesus got me. But yeah, so that was my third scary story, and I have a bunch more. If you guys like scary stories, let me know, and I will. Okay, I'll pet you. Oh my goodness, God. If you end up liking my scary stories, let me know. I have literally so many more. So if you're liking it, like it, subscribe, and let me know if you want more. But yep, that's pretty much it for today. Bye. Peanut butter jelly. peanut butter jelly, and a big spot bat, peanut butter jelly, peanut butter jelly.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I have so many more scary stories gonna be uploading soon, hopefully with my dad. But if you liked it, please subscribe, like, and share. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Hercules, come here. You want it? You want it? Yes? You want it? You want it? You want it? Oh, come here. Good boy. Are you hot? You want agua? You want to go for a walk? You want to go outside? You want to go outside? Ready?